What is going on, fellow geeks, nerds, wrestling marks, and everything in between? I'm going to start off this week's podcast with an apology. It's going to be a little bit somber for the next few minutes because last week, if you listened to our show last week, we talked about how we were going to talk in detail about healers in the World of Warcraft and everything that healers have to deal with in their current state and rating in WoD. But DoctaDajman and I we've been talking for the last hour or so about something that we feel has to be addressed, because the fact of the matter is, in the world of Blizzard news, man, the last 48 hours have been quite interesting indeed. And, well, let me just get this out of the way first. To those of you that may be new to Gaming Ringside with Bigfoot, or may need an explanation as what the new format to Gaming Ringside with Bigfoot is, this is more of a audible pleasure than a visual pleasure. These videos are just pictures most of the time. There'll be just gameplay in the background, but the purpose of this is for you to listen to what we have to say. So if you're cooking, cleaning, doing stuff around the house, keep doing what you're doing, turn up the volume, and enjoy our show. That's what it's all about. That is the format. With that out of the way, going back to what I was saying, DoctaDajman and I decided that we have to take a few minutes and address the absolute crap from Blizz. Let me ask the community a question. I'm gonna start it like this, and if it sounds like I'm at a loss for words, it's because it is. I think we both are, because it's unbelievable what's happened. For those of you that may not be aware, and when I say those of you, I say the World of Warcraft community, the 5.6 million of you that are still left, if there's that many, because that count was about a month and a half ago now. Did you know that the reason World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor, sucks is because of you? In other words, WoW community, fellow WoW gamers, did you know that the reason this expansion has been so bad end game is because it's our faults? And I can hear it already, Doctor. Well, Mr. Str8edge, I think you've gone off the deep end this time. You know what? No, I haven't. I wish I had. I wish I was crazy, because maybe if I was crazy, I'd be better able to believe my eyes when I read what I'm reading, the blue letters in front of me. Take it away, Doc, because I'm at a loss for words here.
Oh man, where to start? I actually just closed it, but I think it was something along the lines of, we understand it was our mistake, so it's not 100% the player's issue, but we told you too many things early on, and you all took it as promises. Well, I really hope that they didn't make that mistake again with Legion, because when it comes down to it, like, yeah, I understand you wanted to tell us that this could be happening and this could be happening, but the way you did it in your announcement, and the fact that you were offering pre-order just weeks later, like, come on, that's that's not our fault. You are putting a price tag on something, and then you're going back and telling us, well, you guys shouldn't have expected it all to be there. You just told me what I was going to pay for. In my line of work, if I advertise one thing and you pay me for that, and then I give you something completely different, I don't tell you it's your fault for trusting that I was going to follow through with what I told you I was going to get you. That's not how it works.
Right. And Doctor, just so you're aware, there's a little bit of electronic noise coming through your feed. I don't know if you got another app open or anything like that. But that, as I like to say, Longfellow couldn't have said it better himself. Now, you know what? I have. Yes. Well, go ahead and speak.
I am now speaking.
Okay, there you go. Just to give you just a taste. So we do this live. It's not rehearsed. Nothing's written down. We just kind of, like I said, we stretch our sacks and we just talk. But, I have the post open in front of me. I could read it word for word. And I'd like to read it word for word, so that our fine listeners can get an idea of the shit that PR has become when it comes to Blizzard Entertainment. The first blue post states, and I read and I quote, "The sooner the era of the devs said it must be true or riot," end quote, ends, the better. It's bizarre if you think about it. No one expects TV shows or movies or music to show WIP cuts that are unfinished outside of marketing. In games, if we show a concept of a thing, just a concept in parentheses with an exclamation point, it's somehow locked in as a thing that we failed to deliver if it isn't fun. Working in an environment where we can't share anything because of how the community latches on and turns it into a weapon is not great. The space between, quote, "here's an incomplete thing, give us feedback," end quote, and, quote, "here's a thing that's pretty but can't change much," end quote, is tiny. This is a problem both game studios and the community have to work on. I'm not blaming the community, but it's on the harsh side right now. Not blaming the community. It sounded to me like you just did. That was the first post. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. I read that as a direct quote from a blue.
So, the minute the community stops expecting us to follow through with anything that we have ever told you is the minute that we can finally have a successful game. You know what, man? I'm waiting for Hello Kitty Island Adventure, dude, because World of Warcraft obviously shouldn't be expected to be World of Warcraft anymore because, that's just not the way it works, man. We shouldn't expect anything, right?
Right. Yeah, and the electronic noise is still coming through a bit. I don't know. It's because you may have another program that's heavy, like resource heavy in the background. But yes.
Is this better? I'm trying really hard here.
There we go. Now it's gone.
Okay.
So, yeah. Shall we move on to the next one? Because that was just the first one. Oh, wait a minute. No, this maybe this one that I'm about to read is part of the first one. I'm sorry. There's just a little space in between. It's kind of confusing. But it continues on to say, quote, "It can also be very hard for people to express things civilly, unfortunately, when they're extremely passionate about said thing. About 80% of the time when someone on the internet types, quote, passion, unquote, they use it as a green light to be a big jerk face." Let me tell you something. The dev in question who typed this particular tweet or blue post on the forums is Knight_Moogle. Well, let's just call him Mr. Moogle for conversation's sake. Mr. Moogle, I'm just going to say one thing to you, sir. You are one ignorant bastard. Okay? You are one ignorant bastard, and you are lucky that I am not the person that's above you as far as a work structure goes, because if I were, or if I was in charge of the PR department for Blizzard Entertainment, you'd be gone tomorrow. Hell, you'd be gone yesterday, pal. But it gets better. It gets better. This one is by a developer named Hamlet, capital E, capital J. Okay? He responds with, "Yeah, period. A well-known reason devs don't talk more that people often mention is the, quote, everything is a promise, end quote, problem. But now I've noticed others more like, quote, if you give a bit of information, people reach conclusions about the entire, parentheses, 99% unseen, end parentheses, game, unquote. I'd never thought about that one until it became a huge widespread pattern in Warlords beta. If we mention new thing X, people will imagine the game...
You cut out.
Did I cut out?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. If we mention new thing X, people will imagine the game, quote, Warlords with only change X, end quote, and basically review it. Let that one sink in.
Yeah, well, I want to back up just a tiny bit, okay? Passion allows us to be basically assholes, but you couldn't type that because, PR would have an issue with that. Blue lettering next to your name, and every time you post anything, is your green light to be an asshole. Congratulations.
And if you haven't caught on as to what this is, This sounds much more. This is pretty much a conversation going on back and forth between developers. That's what it becomes. And the last one by Mr. CM_lore. We said too much way too soon in development for Warlords, and the design direction shifted from what we talked about. It was a huge mistake. We are doing our absolute best not to repeat with Legion. We absolutely can and won't make promises, but we're trying not to talk about things we're not at least somewhat confident in. Reality is, hundreds of good ideas come and go for every game in the industry. Honestly, best not to expose players to that. I don't really blame the players. We should have known better.
Yeah. Hey, you guys. This just in. Demon Hunter. It was a nice idea. Let's toss it out. Thanks for the money.
Right, exactly. And, oh man. Doctor, I'm about to get really angry here because, man, I'm really trying to contain myself right now, to be completely honest with you, because I was presented this information, or I was enlightened to this piece of information from a YouTuber which I've mentioned on this cast before, as from Heels versus Babyface. That's his YouTube channel. I watch his videos religiously. I love his emergency as stuff. He beat me to the punch on this one. He posted about this. He went on about a 23 minute rant about this, and he had this post, posted on his video, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. I said, please pinch me. This can't be real. This is bullshit. Somebody's trolling me. But when I did the research and I saw that 3 Blizzard employees, the people that developed this game that you were paying $15 a fucking month to play, some of us 20, but let's not go there. This is the way they treat you. Open your eyes, people. Open your eyes, WoW community. Now you're getting the blame for this expansion being bad. I'm sorry, but if I see a commercial for, I don't know, let's talk about Pizza Hut, Doctor.
Thank you.
If I see a commercial for a Pizza Hut pizza that has the monster pepperoni, order this pizza and you will have so much pepperoni and you can't even see the cheese, and then I get it at my door and the delivery guy shows up and there's about 8 pieces of pepperoni on it, I'm going to be pissed because the commercial promises a monster pepperoni pizza with so much pepperoni I can't even see the cheese.
You shouldn't have had those expectations.
Exactly. So pretty much what Blizzard is doing is, this is the same exact scenario, people. So I'm going to call Pizza Hut and I'm going to say, yo, what the hell, man? I just paid this money for this pizza that you promised me had this monstrous amount of pepperoni on it, and it hardly has any. Oh, well, you shouldn't expect it that much. We said that in the commercial, but your expectations were just, they were kind of a little bit too high. What the fuck, Blizzard? What the actual fuck, Blizz? Like, seriously, what the fuck is going on? You know what? This just gives credence to what I said 2 weeks ago. There is a uniform lack of direction and uniformity as to as to where this game and hell, the company as a whole has to go. This is absolute ridiculousness. My gosh. Now we're blaming the community for a shit product that you gave up on like 6 months ago because you decided that it wasn't turning out to be what you planned. You decided to put the 223 developers that you said that you had working at least half on WoD to go work on the next expansion because you finally gave in and you're admitting to the fact that WoD was complete garbage and you can't tell us the truth. And because you can't tell us the truth and because you're exhausted and because none of you can agree behind closed doors, now we're getting to the point where we're blaming the community for an expansion sucking. This is the company that you're paying $15 a month to, people. GG, Blizz. I'm sorry, Doctor. I told you I was getting angry.
Yeah, dude, honestly, this podcast might start turning into the Old Republic or into just Heroes of the Storm because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in the World of Warcraft, man. And it's sad because it's a short-lived little amount of us talking about it, but seriously, that's ridiculous. It's pretty obvious that they make enough money that they're not worried. They do not worry.
And it's like I said last week, man. And I kind of said it as a joke, but at the same time, I was 1,000,000% serious. It's like, remember when I told you that Hearthstone, I found out from Boogie2988, Hearthstone's getting Blizz $20 million a month. Just freaking Hearthstone. And I remember I said jokingly, but I was actually being serious at the same time. No wonder they don't give a shit about subs being down to 5.6. It's like, they don't need WoW anymore. I wonder how much they're making off Heroes of the Storm. That's something we should research.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. Just because, obviously, they do not care. They're not fighting for us. They ruined the game in Kata in the name of we need more people to play our game, and people are finding it to be too complicated, so let's dumb it down and bring in as many people as we can. And now they're just like, screw you all. Well, dude, you kicked out the people who were going to back you no matter what, and you ruined the game for them. And then you brought in a whole new generation of people who don't really care too much, if that I don't know how to say it, but you brought in the fence sitters, that's the word. You brought in the fence sitters who are going to fall one way or the other, and now that they're deciding to hop off the train and go somewhere else, you just don't care at all. You've pissed off the ones who were loyal, and you've pissed off the ones who don't really, whose loyalty wasn't worth a whole lot anyways. And hey, at least you have Hearthstone and freaking Heroes of the Storm, because World of Warcraft is not going to make it to 2020. Straight up.
There just can't be... There can't be any way, man. It's difficult for me to accept that these three... God, excuse me. Like this is where the language gets fruity, and I apologize. So those of you that don't enjoy fruity language, you have been warned. Our podcast will have fruity language. But there is no way that these three fucktards could be on the same level as the guys like Shilton, Hazakostas, Mr. Chris Metzen Jr. These have to be like I in my mind, in order to be able to at least remotely accept this, I have to envision these three dumbasses as like peons in the Blizzard development world. You know what I mean? That's like the only way I can accept it.
No, and I feel bad for Ian. Again, I have to say it again. I feel bad for the guy, man. They put him out there to get... He's the whipping boy. Go out, let the world see you, and when someone gets mad, and anytime someone else who isn't as well known decides to spout out their mouth, you can be the one to take that, and you can be the one to try to fix it, because... it'll be interesting to see what posts and what videos are released in the next week in response to that. I mean, he had to go and fix the fact that flying wasn't going to happen. He had to be the one to fix that. We should start calling him the Doctor, because he's mending every other one of the 250 devs, or however many it is. Every time they open their mouth and say something stupid, it's his responsibility, and it gets put on him to go back and try to fix that. And I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. Before I was nothing but I don't want to say hate, because hate's a very strong word, but nothing but it's like whatever. Hazakostas, who cares? And honestly, man, my position has gone from that to what you just said. I feel bad for the guy. I actually feel bad for the guy. Mr. Hazakostas, if you're aware of this, you have to be aware of this, because there's no way that you're not connected to social media. And I really don't want to picture you as being that blatantly ignorant or blind to this. Dude, stand up for yourself. Do something, man. Do something. If I was you, honestly, if I was Ian Hazakostas right now, or even if I was Chilton, who's the creative director, I would literally get up right now and I'd be making phone calls to whoever is directly above those three tards, okay? And I apologize if the word tard offends anybody. I'm just very upset and angry right now. But I would be on the phone. Yeah, I'm passionate. Thank you. I would be on the phone making sure that they don't see the light of day when it comes to the professional gaming development world ever again, man. That's how serious. That's how far I would take it. Because you want to talk about not just ignorance, but a complete lack of responsibility. Because the fact of the matter is, man, you work for Activision Blizzard, one of the biggest gaming developers / publishers in the world. You have a responsibility when it comes to public relations. It's not even a choice, my man. The second you sign on the dotted line and next to it said Blizzard, you have a responsibility, my friend, in case you didn't know. You have a responsibility to live up to what your company is offering, what your company says it's going to do, and as an employee, as a representative of that company, you have a responsibility to take care of that consumer that puts the food on your table, that feeds your kids, my man. Rant over.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. Other than, if I was Ian, I wouldn't even be calling the higher-ups. I'd simply be trying to get out of where he's at. I mean, no joke. I would be finding another game because
I wouldn't be surprised.
World of Warcraft is falling off. Hell, they lost their... Who did they just lose, like, a week and a half ago? 2 weeks ago?
I honestly I can't recall right off the top of my head.
Wasn't it, he was one of the ones for the Horde and the bike.
Yeah,
right?
That dude. I always forget
No,
his name, though.
he's getting out, man. They might, I don't know everything that went on, but I bet you a lot of it's part of, I bet you we're seeing parts of it right now because Blizzard is getting to the point where they're just like, yep, screw you, consumer, have a good day, and I'm sorry anyone who's on board with that and in that should probably be wise and try to get off. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's your resume, not mine.
Yeah.
I was over World of Warcraft in its last moments when my entire team started spitting in the consumer's face. That was me. Here you go. Hire me, please. I'd love to ruin your game too.
Yeah. And, I've heard it already speculated in certain corners and, in the interwebs and all that stuff that this very well could be... A lot of people are predicting that this is going to be Mr. Hazakostas' last expansion. And it's sad. There's been speculation that there's a reason why you're not seeing Metzen anymore at the big events. And it's because of the fact that it's a rumor. This is all speculation. But people have speculated that the reason is because Metzen wants nothing to do with it anymore because he's so upset with the direction that it's being taken to. Let's just talk brass tacks here for a second, people. The fact of the matter is, what's going on here, and that's the thing, it's blatantly apparent. A high school student can see past it. What's going on here is if there's dissension in the ranks behind closed doors when it comes to Blizzard Entertainment, people, open your eyes and see that for a fact. I would put money on that. There is huge dissension in the ranks. There is trouble in paradise behind closed doors at Blizzard Entertainment when it comes to the World of Warcraft. Huge. There is no agreement from any of the multiple departments that go into this single game when it comes to the direction of where it needs to go. People are all over the place. And at the end of the day, it's either Mr. Hazakostas, 90% of the time, or Mr. Chilton, that has to go on in front of a camera and take the hard questions and the questions that he's answered a million times and has to answer for the fuckwads that he has under him. And like you said, I feel bad for the guy. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because we promised the fans, we promised the listeners we would talk about healing. I have to admit, it'll be hard to get deep into that after talking about this because I'm still angry, but let us change the tune for a moment.
Let's take our anger out on all of the raid leads who think everything can be solved by adding an extra healer. I heard of a group who was mad when fighting Gorefiend, and they couldn't get it down, and their answer in a 13-man group was to add a 5th healer. Why the hell are you using 4 healers in a 13-man group even? Why? Like, explain that. That's my segue into this for you.
Well, bro, because if you have five DPS or more, it requires that extra healer. If you have 7 DPS, you should probably have a 4th healer just in case. Yeah, well, people, this is the World of Warcraft that you play currently. I don't know what the fuck happened in between Mist of Pandaria and WoD, where so many pugs that the Doctor and I have come across have adopted this mentality where extra heals solves an issue with mechanics. That's really what it boils down to. So many players that I have come across currently in the game have adopted this let's put this band-aid on this broken leg mentality when it comes to healing and raid makeup, that it's sad and laughable at the same time. Just the other day, I was in a group as a healer. My favorite healer to play with is my Resto Shaman. I love my Resto Shaman. Oh my gosh, I love playing on that thing. When I'm in a group with a disciplined priest who right now currently in WoD is considered it's not even considered overpowered. Some people call it the ultra spec, because it really is. Hell, Blizzard themselves I think call it the ultra spec. That's how blatantly overpowered disc priests are right now. It's like a requirement for progression. When you have a disciplined priest and a solid paladin healer in your group, man, I feel bad for all the throughput healers. I feel bad for the holy priest that may be in there. I feel bad for the Resto Shaman, and I feel bad for the monk, for the Mistweaver that's in there. Because chances are they ain't going to hit anything higher than about 21k, man. 21k HPS, that's about as high as you're going to see it. Because if you have a solid paladin and a solid disc priest in that group, their numbers are going to be through the roof, and the throughput that the other ones can do is going to be pretty much next to nothing. They're going to be DPSing for you.
They're there for their cooldowns.
Pretty much, yeah. They're there for their cooldowns. They're there for their healing tide. They're there for their revival. They're there. What's the big healing cooldown for Holy Priest, Doctor?
No, shoot, man. I don't know. It sucks so bad. It's like Tranquility, but not. It's Hymn of Hope, I believe. I don't know.
Oh, and thank you for saying Tranquility, because I had forgotten about druids altogether.
What's a druid?
What's a druid? Right, yeah. Which is considered one of the overpowered healing specs, or at least it was up until right about 6.2 hit. But here, let's take this even further. Where is the root of this problem? And the problem that I'm referring to is when your elitist asshole who thinks he knows more than anything else and has only been playing the game for about 3 years and is all about method progression is like, yo, bro, you suck. I'm looking at my SCADA. I'm looking at my recount. You're only doing about 18k HPS, bro. Get the F out of my group. I'm talking about those guys. Let's take it to the root of that problem. The root of the problem is add-ons like SCADA and Recount themselves. What are you talking about, Mr. Str8edge? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. You know what one of the first things that happened to World of Warcraft that ruined it was? An add-on called Recount. No, I take that back. One of the very first things that ruined the World of Warcraft was an add-on called Gear Score back in the days of Wrath. Take it away, Doctor. Take it away, Doctor, because I know you have plenty to say about that.
Yeah, let's take someone who knows the fight and has done it 100 times, and they know their class because they play their class really well, and let's put them in a situation where, they've been gone for a little bit, but they're back and they want to raid, and your guild recruitment simply is like, yeah, we're not looking at anything under a 9,000 gear score, whatever the hell it is. Now Blizzard has altered that and called it eye level because it was such a brilliant idea that we might as well claim it as our own, right? But no, that's garbage, man. Eye level, I'm sorry. People who require, these ridiculous eye levels. I saw someone looking and putting together a group requiring the same eye level that drops in the raid that they wanted these people to go through with them. Like, what? Why? It's absolutely ridiculous.
I'll tell you why. You know why? I thought about this a lot a couple of weeks ago. You know why? Because people have become so bad at the game and so nonchalant that it takes a ridiculous amount of eye level to make up for their complete lack of knowledge or ability to do mechanics.
Yes, enter garrison gearing and time walking and these mythic dungeons. No, I'm not saying mythic dungeons don't require a lot, but they really just, I don't know, same stuff you kind of...
You cut out there. I'm not sure if you were done talking or not. Uh-oh. Well, it looks like we've lost DoctaDajman for
Hello?
Oh, there we go. There you are.
You found me?
Yeah, I found you. I lost you for a second.
Okay, man, that sucks, because I was on a roll. But like I said, the issue is this garrison gearing, really, because, you know, go to your garrison, get a lot of gear, out-gear everything so that you can see the content, because frankly, even with your 701 eye level, you're still not going to pull more than what a 650 who knows what the hell they're doing can.
Exactly.
25k DPS, a boomkin, 704. That's what I saw. And it was a high ad fight, dude.
Oh, yeah. No. And just last night, Doctor, 698 Rep Paladin, 21k, bro.
Yeah, what the hell? How is this happening?
696 Elemental Shaman, add heavy fight. Finished at 27.8. No.
Dude, that's because this is
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh.
I can still hear you.
Can you really?
Yeah, I still hear you, man.
This is wacky. Because my mumble's telling me it's not responding at all.
But you're still talking.
What was I saying? I was saying that
I was talking about the Elemental Shaman who's 696, who had heavy fight and finished at 27.8.
Hell yeah, man. That, you know, the issue here, and again, we're getting away from the healing. God, what's wrong with us? But still,
no, but it falls along that line because it's all related. It's all connected.
Yeah,
I'm building up to that.
This is illustrating where people's minds are and the mindset that is kind of killing the game, you know, and in more ways than what the devs have said. But it's go and gear yourself through your garrison, get ridiculous numbers for your eye level, and then kind of go and look at the fights while everyone else does them and call it good. You know, sign in, do your garrison quests, you're going to be able to raid. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were like 150,000 accounts that just got banned because they logged on, turned something on, and were getting gear that way. But the garrison was Blizzard's idea, and the garrison is Blizzard's baby. So it's allowed for you to go in, log in, spend 5 minutes on your tune, start up some missions, come back, and go from being a fresh 100 without ever stepping foot into a raid and rocking a 700 eye level.
Yeah, in essence, they're very hypocritical, aren't they? They just banned a ridiculous amount of accounts because they use an add-on, or not, it's not even an add-on. It's a third-party software called Honor Buddy, which in essence pretty much takes control of your character and farms honor all day until you're capped. Now, all you wonderful listeners out there, let's use our common sense for a second. And let's ask ourselves a simple question. What's the difference between somebody using a third-party software to, called Honor Buddy to play their character for them. What's the difference between that and you setting up your garrison missions for the day, coming back and having a lot more items than you did after doing nothing, pretty much been logged out? It's the same fucking thing!
GG Blizz.
Good job, Blizz! You are so effing hypocritical. But here's the thing. Let's take it deeper than that. Terms of service. Yeah, and now we are getting up to a tangent, not talking about healing at all. Let's talk.
We'll come back to it, I promise.
So yeah, let's talk about terms of service for a moment. Technically, for those of you that aren't aware, in the terms of service, word for word, it says, third-party software not allowed, period, in this game. Yet, every single one of you uses an obscene amount of add-ons. Quote of the day yesterday, by the way, Docta. My Aura Gorger tracker wasn't working. Sorry.
That's why I got run over. That's why I died. Because I can't see his ass coming around the corner.
Oh my god almighty, what does this game come to? My Aura Gorger tracker wasn't working. And the sad part about it is that there's going to be some of you out there saying, yeah, well, what's wrong with that? Well, that's a must for our Mythic Guild, man. You have to have Aura Gorger tracker. I shudder to think, Doctor, what the hell would these quote-unquote Mythic Guilds, what the hell would they have done back in the day when add-ons didn't exist, man? And there was no markers, and there was no icons that you could place on top of people. You just had to know mechanics. And when the raid lead said, stand over here, you just reacted and you stood over there, man. They wouldn't have been able to do it.
They're not raiders, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just raiders.
There's a difference between raiders and raidors. I consider myself a raidor because the fact of the matter is I played in vanilla, man, when add-ons didn't exist, and I just had to know mechanics. I had to be able to react quickly. Our raid lead couldn't put markers down on the floor. There was nothing that flashed across my screen with a noise that went brrr, saying what was coming next. Yeah. But going back to what I was saying about terms of service, technically all those things are illegal in the World of Warcraft. You're not supposed to use them. So, for those, the poor bastards that got banned for using Honor Buddy, that said, you're a bunch of hypocrites, Blizz, because there's so many other people that do nothing but PvE who are breaking your terms of service as well, yet you do nothing to them. They actually have a point. So what am I getting into? It's like, Doc, Mr. Str8edge, you got onto a stand, you're not talking about any healing. Well, it all comes full circle. Because the point that I'm trying to drive at is that Blizzard Entertainment has created an environment in the World of Warcraft where it's pretty much a requirement for you to have add-ons. Hell, you get made fun of if you don't have a single add-on installed for World of Warcraft. There's one particular add-on, besides the one that we mentioned earlier, that was introduced during Wrath of the Lich King, which pretty much Blizzard themselves ended up implementing, but they just call it eye level. There's one particular add-on that, in my opinion, has completely ruined the game as far as a sense of community and accomplishment goes, and camaraderie in a raiding environment. And that add-on is called Recount. Later followed by SCADA, which pretty much does the same thing. It's just a little bit more accurate. And then, to make matters worse, they introduced a patch not too long ago. Hell, it was probably like 2.5 years ago, where not only did it track your damage per second, it started tracking everything. Uptimes, buffs, absorbs, damage taken, damage done, and then it started tracking healing. And then we had something introduced called HPS. So, just like the game was ruined and people were getting judged by that little number that was showing up in that little window at the bottom of your screen, now all of a sudden you have healers entering a completely different world, man. Because when I think back to what healing was like back in Wrath, where the doctor introduced me to it and I started healing, what made a good healer was the fact that you were able to keep your effing raid or your tanks alive. Not your heals per second. Right now, healers are having to deal with so much crap in the World of Warcraft. Because if you don't have a certain number, just like your DPS are expected to have, you're considered a bad healer. Now, I had an interesting conversation with a raid lead the other day. I was getting criticized for my HPS. My HPS was 21.6k. I was raiding normal Hellfire Citadel on my Shaman. I had a Disc Priest that was doing 64k. And I had a Paladin right below him that was doing about 61k. The other two healers in the group were a Resto Druid and myself, and we were each doing about 20-21k. It got to the point where I got asked to go into the rune group divisions for the Kilrog fight. They asked me if I wanted to be the healer for that first phase. I said, sure, yeah, I've done it before. I got one opportunity to go in there. I got the group to about 17 stacks. And by the next 2 or 3 pulls, I was told that I was being replaced by one of the other healers. This kind of made me mad. I approached the raid lead and I said, just out of curiosity, and this was after the raid, of course, why did I get pulled from the rune group? Oh, we just felt that there were healers doing higher numbers and we could have, we were just trying to down the boss. I said, wow, someone clearly doesn't know math. And this... Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just ask, why is any group needing 160k healing per second on Kilrog? At a 15-man, like, why do you need 160k healing per second?
Because your DPS can't get out of shit, and that's the healing that's needed. There's your honest answer.
That's brutal, because now it falls on you, and it's really not your fault. Most of that stuff is, yeah, that sucks. Continue your story. I apologize.
No, it's okay. So I'm like, wow, you clearly just must have flunked math in high school, I think is how I said it. It was late. I don't remember the exact words I used. And she responded with, well, whoa, what do you mean? I'm like, it's funny because you obviously don't have an understanding at all as to how this game works when it comes to healing. Let me ask you a question. Do you understand what Disc Priests do and where their healing numbers come from? And this person responds with, yeah, I get that. They pretty much just shield everybody, don't they? Yeah, that's right. And do you understand how paladin healers work? Yeah, well, for the most part, they do have powerful shields as well. Right. So, let me ask you another question. If there's 2 healers putting very powerful shields on people, and they're both very good, because I'm not taking away anything from those healers. They're supposed to be good. What do you think happens to the other 2 healers that are in the group that are considered throughput healers? Well, you guys just aren't pulling your weight. Okay, so you're still not understanding where I'm going. If the raid members are all shielded by these 2 very good shielding healers, what the hell is there for me to heal? In other words, how the hell am I supposed to have high HPS if there's nothing for me to heal?
Yeah.
And the response I get is a ... I said, okay, why don't you go ahead and change the page on your SCADA and check to see how much damage was done to the Bloods on that phase on Kilrog by your healer. I ended up being the top damage on ads in that fight because I had nothing to heal.
Yep. But it's your fault.
But it's my fault.
Your healing was too low.
Because my HPS is too low. It's my fault.
Yep. Yo, raid leads out there, before you allow someone else in your group to convince you that it's one of your healer's fault, pull your head out and think for a second, because there is so much that happens that you can't see. For DPS, it's simple. This boss has X amount of health every single time we fight him. For healers, it's completely different. Every time you fight him, there's going to be a different amount of damage taken. Thus, there's a different amount of healing needed. And in the end, it's anti-fun for your healer to spam heals. Because I can spam heals on 100% targets all day long and try to show you that, no, I really was healing a lot. I just couldn't, there wasn't much for me to heal. If my overhealing is, top of the charts, I mean, once upon a time, I looked at that. I came back in Wrath, and I was told that didn't matter. You actually wanted to overheal a lot. And I'm just like, yeah, maybe I do, because it's the only way I can actually snipe some heals, but I'd still rather be in your shoes where you're DPSing the ads and you're there with your cooldown when you need it. Because that's what you're there for. That's what the throughput healers are there for. They're there for their cooldowns. So let them do what they're going to do in between, and trust your healers that they're going to throw the heals out when they need them. And also understand that you can't heal someone who just got hit from 100 to 0.
Yeah, exactly. All you raid leads out there, or for those of you that'll listen to this and say, you guys are out of your mind, just try it. Newsflash. Newsflash, people. On a 15-man makeup, hey, you can get away with 10 DPS and 3 healers. Granted, the 3 healers have to be good. They do have to be good. That being said, if you have 3 healers that know what the hell they're doing, they can with ease heal a 15-man group. Hell, I'd even put a good 3-man heal team in a 16-man group. Okay, this whole 2-4-9 philosophy is completely and utterly ridiculous. You don't believe me? Learn some math, some addition and subtraction, and look at your SCADA or your recount meter and look at the overhealing page. It's simple mathematics. Okay? When your throughput healers are doing a ridiculous amount of overhealing, it's because there's nothing for them to heal. Therefore, I guarantee you, because it's simple mathematics, if you actually take there and subtract and divide, you could actually make up for an entire person's average HPS for their eye level and be able to completely eliminate them from the equation because they're not needed. It's that simple. It's mathematics. It's overkill.
Yeah. Kill Gorefiend in one feast instead of 2. Do yourself a favor.
Exactly. Bring that extra DPS.
And that's how every true progression-minded person should be thinking. This healer is going to be coming with us for the first few times we down these bosses until our average eye level comes up. But because we understand the mechanics, the other healers are going to be becoming more powerful anyways, and we're going to be able to drop an entire healer, bring in a no DPS, and get through our content faster. Get through our farm faster so that we can get onto our progression.
Exactly. Hey, and guess what? Here's another big, huge, interesting piece of information in case you weren't aware, people. The top mythic guild in the entire world, remember, mythic, which is required 20-man, no more, no less. 20 people. Downs Archie with 2 healers. That's a fact. That's not me making that up. If you don't believe me, look it up. 2 heals in a 20-man team. What do you think about that, Doctor?
I wish I had their DPS. Who knew how to not be there? DPS, if you're DPS and you love playing DPS and you're listening to this, let me make a challenge for you to make your healers' lives more pleasant, to make your raid leads' lives more pleasant, to make everyone's life more pleasant, even your own. It's your job as much as it is. No, it's your job more than it is your healers to watch your HP bar and to use your cooldowns when you need to. It's your job to make sure you don't die as much as it is your healer's job to make sure you don't die. If you have to stand in something in order to deal DPS, and normally your raid is able to do that, and they heal you through it, still watch your health. If you're dying, get out. Do what you need to do to stay alive, and supplement your healers through that, and help them out so that they can make everything go smoother.
Exactly. Hey, you know what the easiest way for you to help the healers is? Kill the boss faster.
Yeah.
See, because that's the thing. When the DPS are performing to their max potential, like usually the healers are, guess what? The boss is going to go down before you're ever going to need that fourth healer. What a concept. And it just breeds more laziness, in my opinion. This is a deep-rooted issue. It breeds more laziness when it comes to the DPS. Because by having that fourth or extra healer, because I don't buy that 249 crap for 1 sec. It's an extra healer that you don't need. Oh, wait a minute, maybe you do. Why? Because your DPS is lacking. And because people that are doing your DPS in your raid aren't performing the mechanics correctly and are taking unnecessary damage. That's the only reason why that quote-unquote necessary fourth healer is actually needed. Because you have DPS taking unnecessary damage that they don't need to be taking. That's just extra damage to be healed through. And that just breeds laziness. So for all you raid leads out there, put on your man pants, put on your big boy pants, put your foot down and said, DPS, I'm tired of your shit. Get your act together. We're going 3 heals. Oh man, but this fight's a lot easier with 4. No. There's one way to make this fight easier. Killing the boss faster. You know how we're going to do that? If you fuckers make your DPS go up higher. It's that simple, people. It's that simple.
Man, this is such a ragey video. I like it.
I know.
This is us talking, though. This isn't, this is our rant back and forth, and don't take it too personal if you're a DPS or if you're a raid lead or if you're a healer or anything. Like, I got the healers back, but in the end, you know why you're dying. Most of you don't speak out because you don't want to admit the fact that, yeah, I should have moved. You know why you're dying, and it's simply easier to point at the healer, say that they're garbage, and have them either replaced or pulled back or asked to sit out. And in the end, start looking at that damage taken. If you are dead set on using SCADA or recount or whatever, take a hard look at that damage taken and take a look at the death and see how much people are getting hit for before they die. Look at how long these healers that you're blaming had to react to that person's death. Because most healers, they don't just stand by and watch people to die. They want to try to do that. That's why they're playing that role. And if you're dying in 1 second, or if you're dying within 2 seconds, it's really hard for us to get that heal off in time. It's, we can do a little bit, but in the end, when you get overkilled by 100,000, there's nothing we were going to do for you anyways. That should have been you using your health stone, you using your cloak of skills, whatever it is.
Right. It's like, I hate to use our guild as the example, but it's the perfect example. We went from one boss to the next, doing an average of 75k needed HPS to 120k needed HPS. Well, what does that mean, Mr. Str8edge? DoctaDajman, explain to them what that means.
Sorry, I'd just taken a drink of water. That means that, one way or another, mechanics are different, and every boss is going to require more or less, but that just means that, we were learning, and people weren't standing in what they needed to not be standing in, or they were standing in what they shouldn't have been in. And in this instance, it's like ads, they pop up and then they hit you and then they one-shot you and everyone around you if you don't get out of their fixate on Gorefiend. That's not something that I can heal through, unfortunately. I can't heal you and the 2 people that you decided to drag this ad to before you get hit by it. I can't heal you and those other 2 people through that. That's not going to happen.
You see, but this is the problem, Doctor. I guarantee you some people may listen to that argument and they're like, yeah, but that's exactly why you need that 4th healer, guys. That's exactly why you need... That's exactly why. That's exactly why you need that 4th healer, is that support, because people are just going to do stupid stuff. No, That's not why you need the 4th healer. What you need is competent DPS who are going to do the numbers they're supposed to be doing and who won't stand in stupid shit taking unnecessary damage. That's what you need.
Yeah, you get that 5th healer or that 4th healer. You add that other healer, you take away a DPS, you have them swap over. And now you have one more healer for the oh crap moments. And then you run into a new issue. It's called the boss and rage timer. Congratulations. You guys didn't die until the boss started one-shotting everyone. But you had 5 healers. Why couldn't they survive that, right?
Exactly. It's just you're putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg that's just creating another problem. And that's the thing, it drives me crazy that people don't see that. I literally had to sit through that last night. It was painful. Yeah, I think the problem here is our heals. Too many people are dying. It's so hard not to sit there and blur it out in front of everybody. No, the problem is you're all a bunch of retards because you can't get the fuck out of damage.
Yeah, that's one way to say it.
Yeah, I know, and like I said, I know people are going to take offense to that because a lot of people don't like that word. And I apologize. It's like Doctor just said, so much anger. So much anger in this cast, man.
Makes me want to cry.
Yeah, but hey, it's like you always say, man. That's the World of Warcraft that you play.
Yeah, exactly. Get over it or get out. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't have to embrace... Oh, there's my text message going off. I always forget to put it on vibrate. I apologize. But, you don't have to be part of the problem, people. Be part of the solution. And guess what? If you're a GM, if you're a raid lead, if you're both, this is to you. Think outside the box. Okay? Do your simple mathematics. Don't put a Band-Aid on a broken leg. Hell, it works as an incentive for your DPS and your raid. Hey guys, I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm taking away a healer. We no longer have a 4th healer. We're going to go with 3. Oh, what am I doing? I'm giving you fuckwads incentive to up your damn DPS and to stay the fuck out of shit. Because the fact of the matter is that if you up your DPS and you stay the fuck out of shit, we don't need the extra healer. And we'll down the boss quicker. There's your incentive. That's what I would do.
Level your first aid. That helps.
Yeah, right. We have
bandage spec, baby. Band-Aid.
Band-Aids,
hunters,
baby.
bro.
We have this hunter in our guild, Doc and I. Dude, legit, 70 years old. He's like our Master Yoda. 70-year-old hunter in our guild that raids with us. And I've seen the dude, legit, man, standing there in the front of Gorfine like a boss, just bandaging himself like, yeah, I'm not going to die.
Shout out is real.
The shout out is real, man. That guy's such a beast.
It makes me happy watching him use his Band-Aids and using his tonics or whatever. Like, dude, yeah, hell yeah, man.
I mean, that's probably the reason why his eye level's where it's at, and he's about, 15k below where he should. But it's okay. At least he stays alive, bruh.
Yeah, man. I'll take someone who likes staying alive over people who die. Hey, heads up. If you're pulling 100k DPS, awesome. Right on. You're like a god amongst men. But if you were only alive for 15 seconds, anyone can pull 100k DPS for 15 seconds. So...
Dead DPS is no DPS.
Yep. Bingo.
Yeah, that's what everybody needs to remember. Dead DPS is no DPS. Because and I've seen that happen so many times, it's not even funny. Well, this guy, man, look at this beast. I'm like, yeah, and he died 10 seconds later. Well, yeah, but he did. It doesn't matter. I don't care what his DPS was. What was his overall damage for the effing fight? Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's right. Lowest of the freaking group because he's dead. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's funny. It's amazing to me because really, when you break it down, it's simple math. It's just simple mathematics, man. People can't add and subtract.
Yeah, I feel like the game is kind of healers and tanks now, and every DPS has to be a tank in their own way, if that makes sense. DPS have more mechanics to follow in these raids than ever before. Sure, they're not taunting. Sure, they're not getting constantly beat up on. But they are faced with threats that could kill them all the time. And if you follow those mechanics, if you take the mechanics as a DPS that you're supposed to follow as seriously as your tanks and your healers take their mechanics that they're supposed to follow, then you've stepped into what old school tanking and healing is. Because there was once upon a time where DPS really just had to stand and cast. That's not this expansion. It really isn't.
Yeah, but you know what? It's a good thing in my eyes. You know, because that we're in expansion right now where the DPS play a huge role in the success of the raid. These last two raid tiers have been very DPS mechanic heavy, especially Blackrock Foundry, Hellfire Citadel, oh my gosh. But that's a good thing, you know, because like you said, the DPS back in the day used to have to just sit there in one spot and cast. It was like that in MOP, for crying out loud. DPS should be thankful of the fact that they pretty much, you know, they're part of that success. But because you're part of that success, you have to embrace it, Deeps. You have to embrace that because the fact is, you're the one that makes it easier for your tanks and your healers especially by killing the boss quicker and not standing in stupid shit.
Yeah.
Now go do your job.
Yeah, we should all leave from here uplifted and feeling like bosses because we're all bosses. Be a raidor, you know, and go out and own it. What happened last week in your raid? What happened yesterday in your raid? What's happening right now as you're listening to this in your raid doesn't matter. What matters is what you're going to do now that you've heard it. Don't take offense and go and, you know, allow that to be your reason why you don't want to listen or why we suck. Take it, go forward with it, apply it, and watch your raid become more successful. Watch everything you do in the game become more successful. Because that's what it comes down to. No healer wants to join a group that's going to constantly blame it. No DPS wants a healer who's constantly feeling scrutinized. No tank or raid lead wants DPS and healers who can't stand each other. Everyone wants to progress, so go forward and progress. It's not worth feeling bad in your pity parties because it's someone else's fault. No, we all play a role. We all play a very key role. And when you die, it's as much your fault that you died as it is your healer's fault that you died. Because every class and every spec in the game right now has awesome tools to keep themselves alive.
Exactly. And you know what? For the healers out there listening to this, you're welcome. The next time you're sitting there having to defend yourselves, you hit them with a bit of the DoctaDajman wisdom and simple mathematics. And you're like, yeah, well, the reason I'm doing 18k HPS is because I got a Disc Priest and a Paladin in the group, bro. You might want to check the damage meters to see who did the most damage to the ad over there, because it was me, because I have nothing to heal. But don't worry. When it comes to the point where, you know, they need that big cooldown and everybody's about to die because they're stupid, I got your back, bro. That's really all you have to say.
Yeah, you're there for your cooldown. I keep trying to tell this to one of our healers. Like, yes, I want you to be healing the whole time. What I don't want you to do is compare yourself to the people who are sustaining the tanks and who are, when played right, absorbing 60 plus amount of the damage that is by design supposed to kill everyone, but we don't want it to kill everyone because we brought a disc. And that, you know, just accept that that's how fights are being designed now. Every fight has a mechanic that'll one-shot you. Whether, you know, some of them will one-shot you even if you don't have a disc. Others are designed to...
Oh, I lost you again, Doctor. You said others are designed to, and then I got silence. Oh.
Whoa, that was weird.
My Gox line just came over the guy. I wonder if the guy's going to come over the recording, man. We're giving out personal information. No, not really. I don't care. But yeah.
Yeah, bottom line.
Apologize for all the technical difficulties tonight. Wow, holy crap. But you know what? That just adds to the flavor of what is the Gaming Ringside with Bigfoot podcast. Live and in color, people. There's no editing. There's no bullshit. It's just right there. I think you heard my son in the background like 30 minutes ago screaming my name because he needed me for something. But that's just the way it's going to be. This is just real. It's raw. It's just us talking.
Yeah, and that's what it, I love it. I love it. Next time, what are we talking about next time?
Oh, well, I mean, wait, hey, you know what, Doctor, to be honest, I think we can get away with not making a prep for a whole month because the way things are going right now in the world of Blizzard news, we'll have plenty of material to talk about come next podcast from something stupid that a Blizz developer says or, something dumb that happens in the game. I mean, we spent the first half of this one talking about the ridiculousness. I don't even want to get back into it, my God, because I'm just going to get angry again.
Yeah, we're not going to get into it. Actually, what we are going to get into is some Heroes of the Storm, though.
Oh, yes.
That'll make us feel better.
Usually,
time for bed.
Usually, like I said last week, we'll play a few games of Heroes to get pumped for the podcast. We did it backwards this time. We're going to do it after, because that's how upset we are. We just need to sit back, stretch our sacks, wind down, and just relax and kill shit in the Nexus. See you in the Nexus.
Yep, take care.
Right? So as always, my fellow geeks and nerds, remember, always mark out with those controllers out, and the Doctor and I will see y'all later.